The following newly released video portrays an incident of assault and violence at the hands of police. Viewer discretion is advised.
I suggest you back the fuck up.
This is Baltimore City Police Officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz. In a newly released video shot in 2016, Ruiz is seen with his knee on the back of an unknown man with a gun pointed at the man's head. His message was a clear one: concerned onlookers, adhere to my dictates or else. Here, we can hear Ruiz saying to Baltimore residents,
I suggest you back the fuck up.
It is documented that Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz is a repeat violent offender, even without access to all complaints against Ruiz, undisclosed by BPD Internal Affairs records. 6 cases involving Ruiz are known. This video will briefly highlight 6 total cases beginning in July of 2013. Case 1, Abdul Salam, July 1st, 2013. Here Salam is seen victoriously smiling in celebration after the jury found Ruiz and 2 other cops liable for brutality against him. However, because the trial was civil, not criminal, Ruiz was not fired and he did not go to jail.
Police profiled me. They followed me in the back of my house, harassing me. Police proceeded to violently and hostilely approach my van with me and my son in it. As I announced, this was my home, guns drawn. Once they reached my vehicle, they violently pulled me out, ramshacked my vehicle with my 3-year-old son strapped in his car seat, threw me against the gate, slammed me repeatedly, picked me up by my feet, and while I'm upside down, they proceeded to drop me on my head, hog-tie me, and immediately when I fell on my head, Ruiz, in a wrestling type of action, and kind of hit his knee against my neck. I was arrested. I had no idea what I was being arrested for. My son is scarred to this day. He remembers the incident as it happened yesterday. When he talks about it, he always refers to Daddy being on the floor with police yesterday.
Case 2, Darrell Harris, profiled, as seen in this video, July 17th, 2013.
Yeah, I said, what's wrong with it? Improper way with this. There's no such thing as improper way.
You gonna tell me my job, bro?
I know the law.
You gonna tell me the
I know the law.
You gonna tell me the
I know the law. What's the problem? You giving me a ticket? You need my license registration? To profile, you gotta use the seatbelt as a reason to profile.
Sir, do me a favor, take out your keys.
Dad, you can record for what? Nah. I don't feel safe right now. Do you want me to step out the car? Do you want me to step out the car? I'll step out the car. Call the police, man. What are you calling supervisor? I don't do shit. This is getting uploaded to the internet right now. Yeah?
And we are 2 law-abiding citizens that we are getting targeted, and I don't know why.
Just 24 hours later, Bernardes Ruiz played a leading role in the police killing of unarmed Tyrone West. Case number 3, the murder of Tyrone West, July 18th, 2013.
My brother Tyrone West was brutally murdered on July 18th, 2013.
In both of these cases, when you look at the pleadings and the harsh language of these officers that have been quoted to me by reliable witnesses, the N-word.
And Killer Ruiz and Killer Chapman and the rest of those 11 to 15 killers, including David Lewis, took something from my family that they can never give us again. And that was my brother Tyrone West, one unarmed man who was brutally murdered, beat to death in broad daylight.
Mic
Mic
check.
Check.
Mic check. Yeah, so thank you, brother Ben. And as my brother just stated, this is West Wednesday, week 403, day 2,821. So for a very long time, my family, my supporters, the West Coalition, we have been fighting not just for accountability and my big brother Tyrone West, but in all the victims of police brutality, police terrorism. It needs to stop. Like as you just saw that video, that is real video footage of real victims. And it breaks my heart as we pause the clip with Darrell Harris, who literally encountered Ruiz, who was the first killer cop at my vehicle to start murdering one unarmed man, Tyrone West. And literally to know 24 hours before you see him in action, he's in rare form like an animal, a wild animal. You know, had it not been for Darrell Instant saying, I don't feel safe, call 911, and the passenger in his vehicle was able to actually dial 911, and I believe that that saved Darrell's life. But the taste of blood wasn't off of Ruiz's heart. Oh no, he was just getting started. And just to take you back, on July the 1st, Abdul Salam, the one you heard testify, him and his baby, his 3-year-old son, was accosted by this killer, this repeat violent offender, Ruiz and Nicholas Davis Chapman. So this and Omar, Officer Omar, these are repeat violent offenders, and unfortunately, they're still working. But like I said, it didn't start with my brother, and it don't stop with my brother. And it's sad that we have a dirty system that basically allows this foolishness. We see what's going on around the world, and to me, the whole entire system is guilty as hell. So tonight I'm honored to have some real powerful guests as we always do, but I'm not honored to wish anybody on this side of accountability. I'm not honored at all. I'm not honored to have your loved one being snatched from you from people that's supposed to serve and protect, and they are the ones killing us. And if that's not enough, you have the medical examiner's office. And David Fowler, I'm gonna throw him completely under the bus. This stinking animal. He's not incompetent. He's a racist piece of poop, and he knows exactly what he's doing. He lies for the FOP and for the police. And the crazy part, he don't even change. Only thing he changed is the victim's name. He don't even change the way he says they died of these heart attacks, bad hearts. He don't change none of that foolishness. He don't change and lies like he lied on my brother Tyrone West. He said my brother Tyrone West had drugs in his system. He said he had a bad heart, and he basically tried to describe excited delirium. He basically tried to say my brother was this big super Negro that was high off of drugs, died, and that's exactly what they're doing with George Floyd, and unfortunately with my sister. And I give her homage. I give her family, Antoine Black's family. I'm honored tonight to have my sister Latoya on here, and I'm so glad they're going after the medical examiner's office because when I tried, I couldn't pay Lottie Dottie or anybody to pick it up. Nobody had the balls to pick it up. Because keep in mind, my family been out there from day one. We've been out there literally 2,821 days nonstop. We didn't just like come out in the middle or after. We were there when my brother got murdered, and we knew that this was a bigger picture. And it's unfortunately when you had people like David Fowler that's really foul, and you have these officers that are choking us out, like killing us, like in cold blood. He lies for them to get them off, and it's sick and it's disgusting. And then also, many a times I have brought my beautiful sister Tony on, and she has been fighting nonstop for accountability for her son, Corey Ball Jr. He was executed. Like, oh my God, I don't know where she gets the strength from because I know how it is to fight for my brother, but God knows I don't ever want to know how it feels to fight losing a child. My only wish is that my children bury me when my time has come. Not before time, but when my time has come. But unfortunately, you can't even have an air freshener hanging in your freaking car, and you got these killer cops making up all this bull crap. This bull crap. And even play on our intentions as if we're stupid to even allow this Doug Funny show. They're going back showing videos, and I'm flip flopping because I'm everywhere and I don't give a damn. Anyway, moving right on. So what I was saying was in the George Floyd case, they're moving all around, right? It's a Doug and Pony show. They're actually showing you video footage of George Floyd getting arrested on another time. That has nothing to do with Derek Chauvin's knee in his neck for over 8 minutes, almost 9 minutes. You might as well run up 9 to 10 minutes, literally choking him out to the point this man is screaming for his dead mom. He's screaming, I can't breathe. He's screaming all that. And the fact that my brother couldn't breathe when he was dying and he was screaming for another victim, he was screaming, Trayvon Martin, help. I'm dying. I can't breathe after being pepper sprayed, tased, kick stomped, maced, tortured. But what did David Fowler come back with? Foolishness, just like Antoine Black. And nobody can tell his story better than his sister and his family members. So I'm not even talking. But we seen what happened, and it's horrible. You see and the crazy part with my brother, they hid the video footage. They hid all of the videos. We probably won't ever get to see them. You get what I'm saying? But moving right on, it's just a lot. And then for me to learn today that we saw what happened to Jacob Blake, basically breaking up a fight, gunned down. This man is left paralyzed. This father that took care of his family, life changed forever. All he did was try to get out his car and, break up a fight and get back. And he had his kids in the car. And what did they do? They shot him in the back, like literally leaving this man paralyzed. And for me to learn that this maniac is back at work and not charged with anything, not criminally held accountable for nothing. They said basically he acted within reason. So my belief is it's legalized genocide. And that's why I give it up for my sister Ishtar Robinson, who always says every case matters. That's how this system plays out, unfortunately, by the cases that we hear that they make high profile case. But guess what, baby? When anybody loved one is murdered, I don't give a damn if it makes the news or not. Once the family gets that bad and sad, disgusting news, instantly our loved one case is high profile. So it's just sad and sickening, but no further ado. And my heart is going out right now for my sister Tony. And you heard from her, but we're going to actually hear from Carlos, the brother. The brother. We're going to hear from his side because everybody has the way that when our loved one is took. Like if I brought my daughter on here, that was her uncle, but this was my brother. You get what I'm saying? So we all love our loved ones, and they're all special to us in their own unique way, and the way we see them, the way we felt. And literally, when I met Carlos, we were in Vegas, and I remember this guy was so powerful, and the poem he read, and it had my brother name, and I was like, oh my God. And it wasn't the fact that it had my brother name in, because it was powerful without even having my brother name. But the fact, I'm like, oh my God, he got my brother name in this poem. I was already on the poem, but the way he was just breaking it down, I was like, oh my God, I couldn't stop crying. I could not stop crying because he speaks knowledge to truth, truth to knowledge. So no further ado, and I'm sorry for the loss of his brother. I'm so sorry that his brother is not on earth with us anymore. I'm so sorry that Antoine Black is not on earth with us no more. I'm so sorry that my brother is not here to be with his children. So when my nephew called me yesterday and said, Auntie, I want to come see you. Come on, baby. That's all we got is our loved ones, our family members to uphold us. Like my brother's children, they give me life. From his daughter, his oldest daughter, to his youngest son, all of them to his grandbabies that he never got a chance to meet. But me seeing them and me getting a hug and love up on them, that's like loving up on my brother, because my brother children are his reflection, even though they're their own individuals, but that's a part of them. Just like God forbid if something happens to me, My daughters and my sons will live out my legacy. And when you see them, you'll think of me and it's sad. Why do we have to live like this? We shouldn't. But no further ado before I start crying. But again, my heart goes out to everybody. And a big shout out because I got my brother Mel on here. That's a real, he's not an activist. He's not acting. No, this brother is fighting. He wears so many crowns. Like, oh my God, this brother like is, and he's gonna tell you like right now, he actually was supposed to be out there fighting for Dante Wright. He's been holding it down, telling you like literally when this was going on. That's why I was able to put up on my Facebook they done killed somebody else for air fresheners. And people were looking at my page like, what the hell's going on? When I was in a Zoom meeting with my brother, we were planning something else and all this was going on. And what the news didn't report was how they was going in and trying to hurt the activists that were standing freedom fighters. Forget the activists, freedom fighters that are putting their bodies on the line. They like literally left a young man in blood, like I'm sorry, a pool of blood, hitting them with rubber bullets. Like I'm like, are you kidding me? Like it's horrible. But no further ado before I go on all night because I can't. Like I'm gonna bring on my brother Carlos. Mic check.
Mike, chat.
Good evening, everybody. Could y'all hear me? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. First, I want to thank Tawanda for having me on tonight for West Wednesday. And as she stated, my mom has been a guest on before. And I do want to apologize. I'm a little sick under the weather, so if my voice kind of get a little choppy, just excuse me. I'm trying to get over a little bit of sinus infection. But again, like I said, I want to say thank you. And before I say anything, I kind of want to speak on something Tawanda said when she said that pain of losing a sibling. You know, a lot of people don't realize that siblings are your first friends in life. You know, my brother was the firstborn. I'm the second born. So we were 1 and 2. And then there's a gap between me and my third brother, well, a gap in years. So for years, it was just me and my big brother. So even as an adult, being grown, you know, it's hard to deal or cope with it, especially when that's been somebody, you know, you had around you your whole life, laid in the bed, head to toe with, played, ran outside, football, basketball, just everything in life, you know. So it's still an adjustment 8 years later.
Yes, it is. Brother, do you mind telling us who your brother was and what happened? Because I don't want
Yeah.
nobody ever to forget that. If it's not too painful to go
Oh yeah,
into.
no problem, no problem. My brother was Kerry Ball Jr., who was shot and killed back in April 24th, 2013 by the St. Louis City Police Department. Two officers, Jason Chambers and Timothy Boyce, shot my brother a total of 21 times. After he surrendered himself and had his hands in the air, he was shot 3 times while standing. Another 18. They shot into his body while he was laying on the ground. And they shot at so close of a distance that the holes in the ground where the bullets came out my brother's back were big enough for us to put quarters in. And like Florida said, we've been fighting for justice ever since, accountability and justice for all ever since that happened. Really, April was a tough month because the 24th will be here next week. So with something like this happening to Dante around the time a year, where we usually reflect and think about my brother a lot, is very triggering. The amount of bodies that have been, taken away from us since my brother died 8 years ago is crazy. You're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people. And I say hundreds because I remember when I first created the piece Tawanda was telling you all about, it was only 30 names. By the time I got through meeting all the families and everybody who has, experienced something of this magnitude, I'm upward of over like 150 people. That's terrible. Every time I have to add another name to the piece, to the point where it shows that there is a problem. And what else? I just don't get it the way how backwards not just the system is, but the world is. But speaking on the system, how backwards it is, why is it that anytime a police officer commits a crime and they're actually charged for it, they're charged with a they're given a lesser charge, like second-degree manslaughter. Why would a person that's being held to a higher standard be given that much leniency? You would think that a person that's a citizen who hasn't taken an oath to protect and serve, but a regular citizen would be given that leniency. But no, you get officers who are sworn and take an oath to protect and serve. Anytime they are charged, they're given leniency, and anytime they are convicted, they're given the least amount of time or least amount of sentence. And it's crazy. So even when they're charged and convicted, you still don't feel as if that family was done right or fairly.
Yeah, it's crazy. And my heart is like going out for you guys because I know as the 24th comes up, I know that's like traumatized. People don't understand like how real it is. Like literally when it's your loved one's birthday, and especially when it's their death day, a day that changed your family life forever. And I'm so sorry. And this will be your 8th year on the 24th of this month.
Jesus.
Yeah, yes, it'll be year 8. And I would just say this real quick. Every year since he's been gone come with a new feeling or new pain. First year, first year it was like shock. Second year is denial. Third year, so on and so on. Each is something else. And like this year, I'm just angry all over again. And especially with the way that St. Louis corruption is set up in every city. Like the way that they did my brother case in particular, when the chief of police brought in the FBI, we found out it was just a review and it wasn't an actual investigation. So what he did was he duped us into thinking that the FBI was getting ready to do an independent investigation, but in fact, they were just doing a review of what the internal affairs at the police department did. So basically, they investigated themselves. So what that did is it took it out the hands and took the power away from the local circuit attorney, which in other cities may be the district attorney or prosecuting attorney. It took it out the power out of them. So my brother's case has never even been considered for grand jury to see if officers can be charged for what they did to my brother. So we're still fighting for that. They basically trying to cover up my brother's case. Like I said, my brother being shot 21 times. And not just his. St. Louis is very crooked and corrupt when it comes to police shootings. People are immediately criminalized. And if they aren't criminalized, then they're trying to put them in a criminal mind as soon as possible. When in fact, they should be bringing up the officers who are involved in all these deaths, bring up their past. Because this isn't the first time that a lot of those officers have killed before. A lot of them are basically trained killers. They go from one shooting to they get taken off the street to be put on SWAT, come back out to another shooting. Like, show the pattern of them being murderers. It's just crazy all the way around the board. But St. Louis is very, very, very corrupt.
And I don't even think it's just St. Louis. Oh, the whole damn entire system worldwide. It's systematic. Like it's happening everywhere. Like I wish I could say that Baltimore wasn't like corrupt or I wish I could basically find a safe city to go in that's not corrupt. Because me and my family would have been packed up a long time ago. But where did we go at? When the whole damn system is corrupt. It's just sad. It's disgusting. Is it, well, how can we reach out to you guys and help support you guys in any which way? And then I also wanted to send my condolences. I know y'all was also going through, Sister Tony was going through, y'all was burning somebody else, and my heart, oh my God, my heart goes out to you guys so much. Like, people don't understand this pain, I'm telling you. So how
Thank,
can we do it?
thank you for those words. Appreciate it. We like you said, yeah, we just had to go to a funeral. My nephew's mom passed away. So leaving my 11-year-old nephew and a 3-year-old son back. So like you said, our heart's already heavy. But if people want to get in contact with us, they can always reach me on Facebook at Carlos Ball. Reach me on Facebook at Justice for Kerry Ball Jr. page, or even email us at info@carryontheball.org. Um, multiple ways. We started a organization to help kids in our community impacted and affected by trauma. It's called the Carry on the Ball organization, which is a play on words for us to keep the ball rolling. The ball that my brother already had going before he passed. So we want to keep the ball rolling. So got the Carry on the Ball organization. So like I said, you can always reach us. If you want to help, reach out to us at info@carryontheball.org. And I just want to say thank you again to Wanda for having me on tonight.
No, no, thank you, because I know right now you don't feel good. You remind me of myself so much, because even when I don't feel good, any opportunity that I get and I get the strength to talk about my brother and what in his dirty system, I'm there. Like, just give me a couple Tylenols, give me whatever, I'm there. You get what I'm saying? So I just thank you, and if you want to hold on, because I know we probably got a lot of comments and questions, and then whenever you feel like you gotta go, because I know you under the weather, please feel free. But we are here to support you and your mom. You know I love your mom. Like, she's a queen. I love you too, my brother. And I just thank you. And I wish you had enough strength to read one of your poems later. But I'm just throwing that out there if you do. But if not,
Right.
it's 7 o'clock. But I want you
Right.
to hit me real quick. But yeah,
Right.
but we should be reading the poem to you for real. Like, just
And
thank you.
feel free to Wanda anytime, especially that when I feel better and I definitely got enough wind, because the poem is kind of long, but got
Yeah.
enough wind to do it. I have no problem coming back on because
Okay.
like I said, I created the poem 6 years ago,
Mhm.
5 years ago. And I spoke about things like this, like you know, uh, it doesn't matter what we do, we can die at the hands of them. It is based on their discretion of how they feel that day versus what we do, because they always want to say, "Oh, black men need to do this, they need to do that," or people of color need to do this, they need to do that in order to make it home from the police. How about the police approach with dealing with us needs to be different?
Yes.
So it's crazy. But at any time, when I feel better, I'll definitely be back on and recite the poem, because I feel
Yeah,
like
just hit me
all
up
these years
whenever
later,
you
it
feel
still needs to be heard.
Yeah, bro. Just hit me up whenever you feel better. And again, I'm praying for you. If you need to like hop off after we get any comments, feel free, because I know I feel
Okay.
you sick. And I was like, so I'm still praying for you. So whenever you need to hop off, feel free. And I love you. Just get it together, because we need you out there. And I hope you feel better. And I just thank you for your time. And again, if y'all need to call me on the 24th, whatever we can do in Baltimore to support you, you got it. You got it. No problem. Anything. Like,
Thank you. We love and appreciate you too and your family. Thank you.
and do you have like any information like that you want to share, like far as like maybe like a cash app or anything? Because we know like the efforts that you guys are doing, y'all giving back in the community. And I know donations are good, and any dollar helps. Like $2 help, $1.50, anything help. Because I see your mother, I see you, I see y'all out there, y'all hurting, y'all pain, y'all still giving back to the community. Is
That's
it any
right.
way we can reach y'all to help y'all financially support you on Cash App, PayPal, or anything?
Yeah, we have a PayPal pal. That's info@carryontheball.org. That PayPal again is info@carryontheball.org. And like you said, any amount of donation is appreciated and will definitely be utilized in the right way to help the children in our community. And like you said, even during our moments of pain, we're still extending our hand to help and give back to the community, because at the end of the day, my people, if we don't help our people, who else will?
Amen. Thank you for that, my brother. I definitely appreciate you so much. And just to kind of piggyback real quick, because I'm gonna open up the floor because I know is Marcus on? Because I know Marcus probably got some questions. We have a guy named Marcus that actually reads like comments and questions and stuff like that, and he brings like our whole conversation to life with a whole nother atmosphere. But before that, I just wanted to say I love the fact that what you said, Carlos, when you said they should be held to a higher standard, but instead they don't. Just like the officer that just killed Dante, they finally, okay, they just charged her. But you think about this. This killer is a vet. She's been on the force for 26 years. And you mean to tell me you don't know your taser from your gun? You don't need to be working. That's a bunch of BS. And just anybody that may doubt, or maybe she did make a mistake my hind parts. In my opinion, this is my opinion. This is not the West Coalition. This to Marcus. This is me putting it out there. In my opinion, it was a big distraction. Because as you notice that when any type of big high profile case that the media has going on and everybody in the world is kind of watching it, they do things to distract us. So now, because the George Floyd stuff going on, they know people amped up and wanting Derek Chauvin to go to jail. You get what I'm saying? So they playing the Doug Capone show at any expense. So what they doing is picnicking. Pick a, you know what? Let's kill him or her and make a scene. And to be clear, your gun, if you're a police officer, your gun is on your dominant side and your taser is on this side. Literally, you have to reach over your belly to actually go and get your taser. So it ain't no mistake. So you pull it out. And then the crazy part that really freaks me out is that they keep getting these white women to kill. I think about when our brother Botham was in his house eating ice cream in the comforts of his house. And you got this killer, she's going to act like she got the wrong apartment and she there for her freaking life, breaking in somebody's house, killing him on his couch, eating ice cream, and she got a damn smack on the wrist. And I hope his family don't be in there hugging and pulling them hair and no, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. And I'm not down in their family because my heart still goes out to their family. I love their family. I love all of our families. But I'll be damned if I'm going give me a chance to hug one of the cops that killed my brother. Please do. Please give me that opportunity to get that close. I'm trying to tell you, I don't care where we at. Give me that opportunity. Because it's just sickening and saying, I know we supposed to have forgiveness, but forget that. Enough is enough. Like, y'all pray for me because that's something that I ain't ready for and I'll never be ready for. I will never forgive those stinking animals that not only murdered my big brother, but the ones that murdered your brother, the ones that murdered Antoine Black, the ones that killed India Kager, all of these stinking animals. I will never forget them. Never forget them.
That's right.
Never forget and never forgive. God forgive me. Work on me. Hopefully I won't burn in hell. But hey, if I gotta burn in hell for not forgiving some damn killers, let me burn. That's what I gotta say.
Right.
So I just want to be clear on that. And so Mike check. Do we have any comments or questions? Mike check.
Yes, we do. So we have a few comments. Bruce says, "Good evening, everyone." We have a couple comments on YouTube. AC Britt says, "Sending this young man so much love," and he asked for the email, which we're looking to confirm. Hillary responded saying info@carryontheball.org, but we want you to confirm this. I'll spell it out. info@CarryOnTheBall.org.
Only one R in Carrie. It's spelled different than the other word of Carrie. It's spelled Cary. So remove the R, the extra R. So it's only one R in Carrie.
And TNT T. Taylor says, "Thanks, Tawanda, for thinking of my family. Justice for all the families." Mike check.
My mama bad.
Mike check.
Yeah, and that's his beautiful, beautiful mom. And she don't have to thank me. It's my pleasure. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much. And Carlos, if you need to leave, you go get you plenty of rest. But this will be taped. You'll be able to watch it. I'll send it to you on YouTube. I'll tag you in once I get off of Facebook. My computer died and I'm nowhere near to charge it, but I'll make sure you get it. So thank you, my brother.
I thank you. I thank you, and everybody continue to push through the fight and the struggle, man. We got this.
Yes.
We gonna get this one way or another.
Oh yeah.
I'ma just leave that at that, you know.
Right.
But continue fighting. Thank you, Tawanda. But like you said, yeah, I'm gonna, lay down and get some more medicine in me, and keep pushing to get well, because I'm ready to get back to the work that we do every day. And that's working with people in our community.
All right. And make sure you do that same treatment I told you about. I'm telling you, you're gonna be like, what? You're gonna feel a lot better. I'm trying to tell you. So I
Definitely, I'm
love
gonna do
you.
it now.
Yeah, I love you. Go get that steam. And thank you so much.
Thank
Mic check.
you. Love you too.
Mic check. All right. So moving right on, I'm going to bring one of my sheroes, and that is Latoya. And my heart goes out to Antoine Black family because when I saw that horrible video of a teenager being murdered in front of his mother, the only thing I could think of was, I thought, not the only thing, but I thought of so many victims, right, that are actually murdered right there with their parents, and sometimes even their parents are murdered. You get what I'm saying? It's just crazy. Like, it's horrible because now they're wiping out families. I think about Corinne Gaines, who was making her baby a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And this queen, this strong, beautiful queen, was actually murdered. I thought about Anthony Anderson, that literally was with his mother on his granddaughter's birthday and was slammed on his head like a basketball. And this happened a year before my brother got murdered. Like, so my heart just went out when I heard about Antoine Black, and to meet his sister on many different platforms, and to know that the medical examiner's office did the same exact thing. Like, literally, once before I met this queen, I represented for this queen. I instantly, when I heard that foolishness that they was trying to pull on Antoine Black, I'm like, hell no. I instantly called the real news. I called all of the news, but the real news came through. And I think Channel 2, but the real news definitely came through, covered it, because we went to the medical examiner's office where I called David Fowler foul and Bruce Goldfarb a liar in his face. Even though we never got to see David Fowler, but I was yelling him out on that mic, and I told him you lied, and I told him about George King, I told him about Tyrone West and all the black men that he dumbed down their murders because they are foul. He got the right now, David Fowler. He's very foul. But no further ado, I'm going to introduce our queen, Latoya. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Thank you, Tawanda. Can everyone hear me okay? Just
Yeah.
to make sure. Okay, great. One thing I did want to say, Tawanda, it's so true, and I don't want you to ever feel as though that you should not want to get justice for your brother just as much as you've been fighting for everybody else, because it doesn't matter how much time's gone by, just like the young man said, Carlos, they're our siblings, yes, we feel and we will fight with others, but you still have a sense of, I've got to do this for my brother. Just like I have it for mine, I'm sure Carlos had it for his mother had it for our son. It's just human nature. So don't ever apologize for that. That's just the way that it is. But the work that you've been doing and others that have come before you and after you, that's what's important, that we're all in this fight together. And like I've heard some of the women that's been in this fight for seems like 20 plus years, we're all members of a club that we never have to join. So with that being said, I'll talk a little bit about my brother Anton. He's the baby out of 9 of us. We're a blended family. So there's 6 of my mother's biological children, which includes Anton, and then Anton's father, my stepfather, has 3 biological children. So Anton and I share the same mother, and we also have a sister, or multiple siblings, excuse me. He shares a sister with his father. they have the same parents. I'm sorry. It's kind of like the Brady Bunch. We're just mixed up. We've been a family for over 20 years. Anton, like I said, he's the baby. Most of us were in our 30s and our 40s. My mother jokes and she thinks she was going through menopause, or she thought she was when she found out, before she found out she was pregnant with him. She couldn't believe she was having another kid. But he was such a special little boy. I mean, and you have to forgive me, he's always going to be that young kid to me. You know, I'm 17 years older than he is. So I'll refer to him as little boy, and, you know, that's my baby brother. He was the baby to us all. We knew right away that something was wrong. When my mother called to tell me that my brother had died, I didn't know who she was talking about. Now, I'm like, who? You know, and I told my brothers, I went through every single one of them. Never once did I think about Anton. He didn't even cross my mind. Wasn't that kind of kid, you know, never got in trouble with the law, always respectable. He had good relationships with town mayor. Used to eat dinner with his house, kids, play with his children. The former police chief of Greensboro, I think his last name was Jackson, if I'm not mistaken. Anton had a great relationship with him, so, you know, he was active in his community. I've heard parents say, you know what, Anton was the only kid that could be at my house if I wasn't home, you know, with my children, because I knew he was an upstanding young man. And they, just like Carlos said, immediately, they tried to sweep what they did to him under the rug. Spin false narratives, blame him for his murder. Within it wasn't even 24 hours. I don't even think he was dead 12 hours, to be perfectly honest with you, when they started, you know, trying to put the story out there. It was his fault, basically. You know, we are dealing, and I'm going to reference quite a few things that Carlos said because he's absolutely right. I mean, we are dealing with police officers that have all this training. I have hired them to protect and to serve us, and we are not holding them to a high standard of accountability. It just blows my mind. I don't understand. How do we give you weapons to actually, we weaponize you, and when you actually act egregiously, you don't have to suffer any consequences. And as you know, Tawanda, that was one of the big legislations that we were trying to get to go through in Maryland, is for accountability and transparency. So, you know, I think everyone, we did a great job. I know we didn't get exactly everything we wanted, but it's a start. And I was happy to hear about the 10 years for excessive force for the repeal of Leobor. That was good, a good change for me. I was happy to see that happened, because frankly, in my opinion, I think that's exactly what was used as far as Anton's case was used. It was excessive force. They became the judge, jury, and executioner as far as my brother was concerned. Whatever they thought that he did that did not deserve, or he didn't deserve for them to kill him. I personally, and I've said it before, I personally think that my brother was killed right there in front of my mother. That's why they didn't let her in the ambulance with him. I think he was dead before they loaded him up. I think they knew. But they was trying to, you know, continue to go on. They locked her in a police car for more than an hour, and then opened the door and told her son had died. I'm sorry, it's hard to get the thoughts together just because I'm like you, Tawana. I can go here, there. I can bounce from, you know, one.
Go everywhere you need to go. Go everywhere you need to go. At this point, go any way you need to go.
Thank you. It's been, Anton was murdered. And, you know, they don't like it when we say that, but that's exactly what it was. It was murder. If you look at the definition of murder, yeah, that's exactly what they're doing to our young, our brothers, our fathers, our sons. And the fact that they're not being held accountable, just like Carlos, and none of the officers involved in Anton have really been held accountable. I mean, we've got one that's been decertified. We've got another police chief who actually was tried and convicted for basically not giving use of force records for Thomas Webster, who was the officer who had the initial stop with Anton. So we've not really gotten justice. There's no grand jury was called. Riley is hiding behind the autopsy report, which is crap. It was crap from the start. We got it 4 months after Anton was murdered, and when I read it, I just knew immediately that it was full of a whole bunch of crap that was geared to protecting the police officer. It wasn't geared to actually say what really happened to Anton. No one likes to talk about the more than 40 abrasions and bruises that he had on his body. I mean, you just hear, oh, he had a bad heart. Okay. Well, I'm still, I his sister, and I have to say, like Tawanda says, this is coming, my own opinion, prove it to me. I want you to prove it to me. My brother was a star athlete. He had 2 physicals annually because he did winter and spring sports. And you're going to tell me that if he did, and I'll say devil's advocate, let's say there was something that, the doctor couldn't see. Human eyes couldn't pick up in a living body, that you actually do the autopsy, and then, of course, you get to dissect it and you find something. Let's just say that, okay? Say there's something there that was undiagnosed. You cannot tell me that my brother would not have continued to breathe that day if it was not for his interaction with the police. There was nothing wrong with Anton that would have caused him to lose his life that day besides his interaction with the police. So they stole him from us. That's what they did. They stole him from us. And I had a coworker when I was going in the office before COVID. It had maybe been a year that had gone by, and they had said, "Oh, you're still grieving." And I didn't know what to say to that, because I was just like, why wouldn't we? Why? What would make you think that it would be so easy for us to still let this go? That it was, and maybe, people grieve differently, so maybe some people can just move on and just say, okay, well, I'm just going to continue to live my life, but, it's a little harder for me. I said it from the beginning, I am my brother's keeper, and I will continue to be my brother's keeper. He cannot speak for himself, I will speak for him, and anyone else that needs a voice. Even though we were successful in getting Anton's law passed, after Hogan vetoed it, and then the General Assembly passed it. They overturned his veto. But that doesn't mean that my family and I are going to stop fighting. There's just too many deaths. And I'm a straight shooter, so I always say what I feel and what's on my mind. Before Anton was killed, you would hear, the name, and you would say, that's really sad. Or I would say, that's really sad. I'm so sorry. I'll say a prayer for that family. And I would just go on about my life. Never once did I ever think to reach out to Mike Brown's family or, names sometimes. I can see his face, and I can't think of his name. The other, he couldn't breathe. Oh, my gosh. The cigarettes. I'm sorry. I can't. Eric Garner, yes. And I just was talking about Mr. Garner this morning, so forgive me. It was eluding me. But, you see these stories, as someone who at the time was not directly affected. And I took no action. I didn't. I took no action. I didn't reach out to any legislators. I didn't write a letter. I didn't make a phone call. I did not send a tweet. Nothing happened. And then Anton was murdered. And as a human, I wanted the entire world to stop. Like, my brother was just murdered. Like, you guys gotta stop. Pay attention. Like, why is no one paying attention to what's going on? They're trying to sweep it under the rug. They're trying to make this go away. And, perhaps they are successful. I'm sure they are successful, especially if there is, like, criminal history or, One family might say the black sheep of the family that's involved, but Anton was not that. He was none of those things. Good boy. I always say he was so easy to love. Was not a typical young man to get along with. He didn't care how old you were, what color you were. He could get along with everyone. I feel bad, that I didn't do anything, but just look at the news story and say, oh, that's really sad. I feel bad about it because now I'm in this position that you and so many others have been in for years, and I want people to help me, but where were we when you guys needed us, So I try to ask people, there's something you can do. You don't have to get out there and march. Maybe your health will not allow you to get out there and walk a few miles. But, for the most part, you can enact change by contacting the lawmakers, voting, making sure you have the correct representation in office that has your best interest and the best interest of your community in mind. Send them when the legislators are voting, when it's, time for them to come to vote. Tweet to them, let them know, I support this measure, support this bill, or do not vote for this bill. They listen, they hear us, and just a few of us can make a big difference. So, you don't have to always think you have to have the boots on the ground. You could be, if you're immobilized, if you are, you're quarantining because of COVID, get on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or tag them in a post. They'll see it. They will see it. They always seem to worry around election year. That's when things kind of want to, they want to make things happen and make sure they get their seat. So if they're not voting the way that you, as a community, need them to vote and enacting change, vote them out and vote new people in. That's the only way that we're going to change this. We, with Tawanda and so many other brave women who fought and supported my brother and Anton's law from the very, very beginning, when they've been fighting for so long for their loved ones. It's so overwhelming, to get that kind of love and support from everyone. We just want to get it back, and we want to make sure that other people will also participate as well, because it's not over. It's not over. We've got some laws changed, but we need to do something. Hopefully, at a national level, we can get to have some major impacts here. We need some definitely police reform is very important. I don't think that all states are taking it really seriously, and what I have to say that if you are a legislator and you're watching this, don't wait until you have an Anton Black or a Tyrone West in your state to want to go ahead and enact change. You actually should be proactive, not reactive. I think that's where we would prefer to be. We definitely want to also start reforming the police down. It starts at home, from the hiring process, the vetting process, making sure we don't have police chiefs, such as my brother's case, that's hiding 29 use of force records from the Maryland Commission, that actually certifies police officers. You want to make sure you don't have that type of activity. You want to make sure that police officers who actually see egregious activity or, malfeasance with other officers involved, that they out retaliation or not having backup when they go on the next call. Because I know that is, that's a big deal. I've heard the stories. They will not back, police officers sometimes will not back you up if you go against them and you're one of them. And that's terrifying. If you're a law enforcement officer and you are expecting your fellow officers to back you up on a call and they're not going to because you did the right thing, that's, there's so many different things that we need to look at to try to enact change so that we don't continue to have to have these discussions, because you know, of all the loss and the murders that keep happening. I feel like I've just talked your ear off. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't. Don't be sorry for anything. You just shed light, and it was well said and well represented. So absolutely. And I just want to say something to you real fast because I felt like you, because before my brother was murdered, you know, I used to hear about, you know, people getting murdered. And even when I heard about like Trayvon Martin, because that laid on me and my brother's heart, even though he wasn't killed by a police officer, he still was killed by a vigilante, you know, and they got away with it. I was like, oh my gosh. And I wish that I could have met Sabrina, but I never wanted to meet Sabrina. And then when my brother got killed, I was actually pulled on this side to actually meet Sabrina. Like it's just horrible. So I think the way life is set up, you know, you hear about it, you feel sorry, but the pain honestly hits different when it's your loved one. I'm just gonna be real. It hits different because now, because the way society had it set up, you kind of believe and both parties, like you got, because before my brother was murdered, I actually believed in like, okay, I know I kind of believed in the system. I feel like an asshole, excuse my language. I believed in the system, like, you know, even though they got some flaws, but you know, if you got credible witnesses and things like that, you could get accountability. I believed in the system. I believed that yeah, there were good officers as well as bad officers. I believed in all this. I believed in reform. I believed in all this stuff, right? But it wasn't until my brother was murdered and me and my family had to see the dirt. Like, as horrible as my brother's murder was, the cover up was far worse. You get what I'm saying? So you're sitting back like, oh my God, like, are you kidding me? So I think that's what it is. So society sets you up to feel like, you know, life is going to work itself out, you know, bad things happen, but hey, it's going to work out type of thing. But, you know, just to kind of be transparent and, you know, move on. And just for time's sake, I'm going to bring my brother Mel into the conversation. But just to let you know, I was right there with you, sister. But like I said, the pain hits different when it's your loved one and you get to see the actual, and not even hit different because you got a heart, but you definitely feel like, oh my God, this was my brother. You get what I'm saying? This is my big brother that got murdered. And then you start thinking about other people, loved ones that have been lost by law enforcement, and you start wondering, did they do the same thing? And to me, the biggest issue to me now, I'm more so because at first I was sounding like you. I wanted to perform. I wanted to buy the character. I wanted this, that, and thus. But when I seen that it was a dog and pony show, now the only thing I'm screaming for is accountability, and that's to me reopening these cases. It's to me it ain't even about the way they're trained. They're well trained. You can see them the way they arrest white people, the way they kill us. It's a big difference. I saw videos a brother sent me today when I was advertising West Wednesday. You see a white cops pull over this white guy. He has a gun on the seat. They see the gun visual. He's talking trash, pointing the weapon, and he walked away. Like, he walked away. Literally. And all they threatened him with, we'll get our K9 to get you. Really? Really? But yet you can shoot Curry ball 20 something plus times. So at this moment, real quick, I'm gonna see if you got any questions or comments for you, and then I'm gonna bring our brother Mel in real quick because I don't know if you got something else to do. So mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. We have a couple comments. AC Brick from YouTube says it's infuriating what the ME gets away with. So every black man has a bad heart. They have a standard cookie cutter template they use in order to get the police off and get away with murder. And he also said everything this queen just said, referring to you, ma'am, Latoya. Like you said, there's no justice. It's just us. And he says, reopen the cases. Hashtag reopen the cases. Mic check.
Mic check. So real quick, because I know my brother Mel got something to do with Latoya, you stay right there because I don't want to rush what you got to say because you might want to add more to the conversation. Do you mind if I bring our brother Mel in?
No, not at all. Thank you.
You're welcome. So Real quick, I'm gonna bring out Brother Mel, and like I said, he's been doing groundwork. He has his newspaper. He has a lot. Like I say, he has a lot of crowns that he wears. So, no further ado, Brother Mel. Mic check.
Mic check. Can y'all hear me okay?
Mic check.
We can
Yes.
hear you.
Sister Latoya, I know she gave me a chance to go early, and I tried to time it because my ride has been waiting on me because they had to get back, going to get down to the protest today. But I'm glad to see you on here because we're struggling with some of the same thing you struggle. So this is a big old case, and the medical examiner David Fowler in the case of George Floyd. Now he got on the stand today and pretty much said George Floyd died from a heart attack. And he said it was brought on by, I mean, he threw in the kitchen sink, y'all. He said the drugs, he had hypertension, heart disease, and he threw in a new one today, the carbon monoxide. He just threw in everything up against the wall. And so somebody mentioned this earlier. It's important to know that this dude is from South Africa. His formative years were in apartheid South Africa. Folks under 35 probably are too young to remember the fight to free our South African brothers and sisters from the apartheid. And so this guy is an Afrikaner. And so, I don't want to cast aspersions without knowing, but it's not hard to make a stress that this cat might be a racist because what you all experience in Maryland, he's done these cookie cutter. Somebody said these cookie cutter ME reports, and I noticed sister, in your brother's case, he said it's a heart attack, right? And you just pointed out your brother was in great shape. Well, he just did this on national TV, and what's interesting is that the lawyers could not. I guess I don't know. I guess they couldn't bring it to court. They can smear you, but you can't smear them. You would think that the prosecution would raise the fact that he's being sued in Maryland for what misdiagnosis, and that. I mean, I don't know the exact term, but misdiagnosis, right? And so when I write the daily update, I'm gonna put that out there. I'm gonna say, doctor, medical examiner is being sued for misdiagnosis. Takes stand in on the defensive side. That's what I'm. So people can get it right away because a lot of people don't know that this cat's not credible. But see, this is a problem all over the country. And now we have a chance to spotlight and write about this. We need to talk about this. The medical examiners are connected to the prosecution's office, and their job is to clear the cops. As Latoya knows now, their job, as you know as well, sister, their job is to clear the cops. That's why it's so hard to get a prosecution of them because they're so busy putting together an examination or a finding that's consistent with what the system wants you to say. That it's hard for them to switch down. It happened here too. The medical examiner, what's his name, Andrew Baker. He said he died of cardiopulmonary arrest. It sounds all complicated, but we all die from pulmonary arrest. We all die from it, right? And it's complicated by law enforcement subdual. Dude, why didn't you just straight up say what happened? That the man was murdered by the police, that it's a homicide brought on by the fact that the cops restrained him. And then he refused to say in court what all the rest of the experts said, that he died, he was asphyxiated. So this is a game, and we've got to deal with it. We're going to have to, as I keep saying, it's just the whole system. I appreciate what Sister Latoya was saying earlier, but sister, these people are corrupt. The whole thing is corrupt, from the folks in those houses and the legislative office to the people in the White House. This whole system has to be restructured, y'all. It's all designed to continue to keep us down. If you ain't got no money, if you're white, you ain't got no money. If you're black, brown, Asian, yellow, red, whatever, if you're female, gay, whatever, that this thing is decided, it's set up to hold us down. And the sooner we recognize that fact, the better chance we have of fighting back. When I got on here, brother was saying 43 people got killed in just 2 weeks by the police. That's insanity. We can't keep putting up with it. So to the other point that you wanted me to talk about is the thing that happened here. I mean, here we are in the middle of the Chauvin trial, right? Less than 15 miles away, you would think that the cops would be on their best behavior. There's something you need to pay attention to. These people are pushing back. This is a political struggle. The street cops, the rank and file cops, are pushing back, right? They're still doing brutal stuff because on some of what they're doing is they're throwing their finger at us. They're saying, what you gonna do? We're gonna continue. You would think average human beings, with the spotlights on them, if they've done something bad, they're gonna back up, right? The average person, not these cats. Here in Minneapolis, the cops are still harassing people in the midst of the trial. I wrote a piece about they grabbed this young man. There was a dispute over the neighborhood. Some kid had carjacked somebody. They had the wrong kid. So the young people were trying to tell them, we got the wrong kid. They were trying to bring the parents in, explain what's going on, so the kid would be okay. In the midst of that, they grabbed some kid that's joined with them. Yeah, he was joined with them. We supposed to have that right. And throw him on the ground, beat him up. While the trial was going on, I'm not making this up. In St. Paul, they do a no-knock warrant to get this woman's 18-year-old. He had some warrant for something, nothing major. They go in his house and grab his 11, 12-year-old brother by the neck. So, I mean, what kind of people do this? And so one of the reasons that they keep doing it is we keep thinking of these people like they're us. And they're not. If they were, they wouldn't do that. Tawana, y'all, Brother Mike, y'all ain't running around shooting nobody. You would, even if you had a gun here, you wouldn't shoot nobody, right? I mean, the only way you shoot somebody or hit somebody is because they did something to you. We got to reassess this. So they're doing this for a reason. Part of the reason they're doing this, they want to, they want to intimidate us. And so here we are fighting, you know what I'm saying? We're organizing around, we're having protests, trying to put pressure on folks to get justice for George Floyd, right? We're having protests every day. And Sunday, your friend Tashira Garraway here in Minneapolis has organized a group called Family Supporting Family. You all have heard her on the phone when we've had our meetings. And she's been fighting to reopen the cases here. We've been with her. And we had a protest on Sunday for the anniversary of a fiance. You can't make this up. The protest was scheduled for 2:00, y'all. At 1:47, they had done laid this boy down. I mean, it's just on and on and on. And somebody called me from NPR today, and they get mad at me because I don't accept every interview. I don't have to be able to. I just want to tell the truth. I have a vehicle to tell the truth. He pointed out. Y'all go to the spokesman-recorder.com. You want to see the unadulterated truth of what's going on here? We'll put it out. It's a black press. You got me, who is not just a journalist, but an activist, been doing it 30-some years, and we're putting out the truth best as we can from our perspective. You don't have to go to the Times, the Washington Post, or anybody else. You can go to little old Spokesman Recorder and get the updates about what's going on here. Now, we may not be able to report on Detroit or Baltimore, but we can tell you what's happening here. You want to get it from the horse's mouth? Come on, because we're telling the truth. Because we're giving analysis. We're letting you know what's going on behind the scenes. Like today, I'm going to tell the truth about that doctor. And the fact that he comes out of South Africa, out of maybe a racist background, and that for years he has been rubber stamping these examinations, and they're lying too in the story somehow he retired. He didn't retire, he resigned to keep from getting fired. There's a big difference from resignation and retirement. So anyway, I went on another tangent, but so they killed this kid, and then this lady's trying to say, and now they finally charged. And the only reason they charged it, people pay attention to this. Because, Minneapolis, St. Paul, you ain't got as many black folks you got in Baltimore and other places, but we come out and we fight. Sister Wanda tell you, and I've been leading it, I led a lot of them over the years. We come out, we fight. We don't take stuff laying down. And they charged this woman only because they realized we weren't going to stop coming out, right? They put a curfew on it. A lot of kids didn't care nothing about the curfew. I brought my old behind in because they got to maintain the paper. Otherwise, I probably got arrested a day or two, too. Because, they definitely throw my behind in jail. But we kept fighting. And that's why. Not because all of a sudden the system, and it's all in its wisdom and its in its purity, decided they're gonna do the right thing because they're out of its principles. No, it got forced to. And this woman should have been charged with second-degree murder, y'all. And so the neighborhood the dude got killed in, it's a suburb of Minneapolis. It's right in the first suburb of North Minneapolis, right? And as she pointed out to Wanda, the boy was riding down the street. He just got his car clean. When they pulled him over, they told him it was air fresh. Turned out they pulled him over because of the tabs on his car. Now, I don't know about in Maryland, but here in Minnesota, the whole tab thing is way behind, right? Even if you pay for them, it's taking all day to get them to you. So a lot of people run around with expired tabs. So there's no real good reason to stop. So it's part of what they do. They profile this kid. And then it gets crazy because they're trying, if you notice what the nation's trying, what they're trying to do, they keep trying to cover themselves on some level. It's like the Derek Chauvin thing is a cover. Right? It's like when Dylann Roof killed all those folks. If his trial is just a formality. He killed him. There's witnesses saw him kill him. This should be a formality. They make a big deal like Derek Chauvin has a case. He don't got no damn case. You know what I'm saying? He murdered that man. We all saw it. But okay, he has to have his day in court. But stop acting like, he's a real human being. If you watch him, watch him at that thing. Watch him. He's trying to act like a human being. I was in court with him. The dude gave me the creeps. That dude's a psychopath. And Latoya, y'all, You got to cut this stuff up about this training and who they pick and all that. It's all BS. They pick these people on purpose, right? They pick racists on purpose. They pick sociopaths on purpose. They pick psychopaths on purpose. In fact, this woman Kim Potter, that killed our brother. One of her friends got on Facebook and said, "No, it wasn't no accident." She's known this woman. She said this woman is a jerk from way back. Said she's a racist. And when she got on the force, yes, I'm here in the middle. I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. That's why I said, read our stuff. That she's a racist. And she said that she even told her that she was racially profiling people on the job. And they stopped being friends. She said, it's probably no accident. This woman is a racist. Now, if you notice, the mainstream media is putting out pictures of her 20 years ago, right? Pictures of her in her 20s. Why do you want to do that? They want to put a nice face on. Again, they want to say, oh, it's an aberration. And how do they know that she grabbed the wrong thing? Think about this. They picked up her story and run with it. Now, if we had done that, they would have picked up my story. When I said that, and said, no, that nigga did it on purpose. We don't know what was in her mind. We've seen lots and lots of times, y'all see this, where the police are beating up on folks and they're saying, stop resisting, while they're throwing you down, beating you to half to death, stop resisting, right? As a way of justifying what they're doing. Because she yelled taser with the damn gun in her hand, and she's been on for 26 years. Let me tell y'all something. I ain't been no cop, but I know the difference in weight between a pistol and a taser. Have you ever seen them? They don't look alike. They don't weigh. They even have a different feel. When she got it in her hand, two things should come to mind. It doesn't feel like a taser, and it's too heavy, right? But she kept it, and so she's not innocent. The black cop, and again, I ain't into the cop. All the cops are the problem. The whole system is the problem. As Latoya pointed out, so it must be a problem if I can't tell on you. If I can't tell when something's wrong and they threaten to kill, then that means the whole daggone thing is rotten, sister. It ain't. It is what it is. Some of them act a little more decent, fair enough. But the whole system doesn't allow them to do what's right, even if they want to. So the cop had pulled this, watch the film, pulled him out of the car. The black cop had him under control, right? He was cooperating, putting his arms behind his back, and all of a sudden, this white woman runs up and does something to him. Remember, she runs up on him. I don't know, it moves too fast, but she started this. He was okay. And you notice MSM keeps talking about there was a scuffle. There was no scuffle. He was cooperating. She started the scuffle. She rushed in there and pushed him. I don't know why what she was doing. Maybe she thought she should. I think she was trying to pat him down for weapons or something, and he pulled away. But remember, she rushes in. He's fine. Look at the film. Break it down. He's okay. He's giving himself up for some foolish warrant. Turns out, y'all, he didn't even have a warrant. He had some misdemeanor deal, but they had sent the summons to the wrong daggum address. So this thing is tragic on top of tragic. And so anyway, when you see it, when she pulls out the gun, she's yelling taser. Just because she's yelling taser don't mean she's tasing him. We gotta push back on that. We need to write about it and push back on this idea that this was an accident. Just because she said it was an accident, because her chief said, because the white folks said it's an accident, we supposed to believe it. And they put this picture out so you sympathize with it. You see the picture go to our site, go to Spokesman Recorder, look at the picture we got of her, right? It's an update picture, a picture looking like who she really is. So anyway, so they're trying to paint this picture of this woman that just accidentally, they ain't been doing an accident. When they killed your brother's sister one, that wasn't no accident. They killed your brother, sister Latoya, it wasn't no accident. You don't want to say it's an accident. No, man. I'm going to tell you something. I tell people this all the time. If you do something to me, you hit me and say, oh, excuse me, Brother Mel. All right. Hit me again and say, oh, excuse me, Brother Mel. Then hit me a third time and say, excuse me, Brother Mel. I'm going to start suspecting that maybe you're doing this on purpose. Right? And that's what we have to understand. There ain't no accidents. And this woman needs to go to jail for murder. We see her. She points a gun at a man sitting in the car. He ain't got no gun. He ain't got no weapon. They can't say he had a weapon. He pushed away from her. She started this. He's struggling with her because we can't quite see what she's doing to him. But she looks like she's grabbing him, and he's resisting it because he's a human being. Human beings resist people doing stuff to them they shouldn't. Right? And because he acted like a human being, he's dead. But the prognosticator's going to try to, wipe it over, clean it over. I said, she meant well, he was resistant. No, he wasn't. Look at the first, he gets out of his car, turns his back. The guy's got his arm, and all of a sudden this woman runs up and starts trouble with him. and shoots him for no reason. I ain't buying it. And then she's talking about, oh, yes. No. Anyway, so the other thing that's insignificant to know is that we're fighting here, y'all. And our demand is that we don't mess around. Our demand is that the cop be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, right? And so what we're going to do coming out of this, because I got to go, is y'all, we need to get together and talk about this medical examiner problem. I'm gonna write about it, but we need to protest them. Now think about it. So remember, it's the whole, when people say the whole system, y'all, the whole system is rotten. You know what? You saw the healthcare system fall apart during COVID. Wait until COVID passes and watch the daggum education system. Oh boy, they're really gonna have a hard time trying to educate our folks. Y'all, it's a system, and we got to restructure it. You all feel that pain, Tawanda, Latanya. You feel the pain of a system that's designed to criminalize us and to oppress us. That's the reality. And some of us feel that pain even deeper. And so what we got to do for the folks who haven't been victimized yet, we got to, like y'all do, keep fighting, keep telling them about your struggle so people know this thing is real. All right, I'm gonna stop there, and I'll take a question too. And I'm gonna have to go.
Thank you, Mel. Marcus, do we have any questions or comments?
Yes, we do. So we have a couple questions and comments. I'll get to the questions first. So Hillary on Facebook asks, can you put the link to his publication here? And AC, I believe on YouTube has the same question. What is his website's name again?
Spokesman Recorder. Just put spokesman -recorders, spokesman-recorder.com. It's easy. It says spokesman, like it sounds, -recorder. Or if you can't remember none of that, just think Minnesota Spokesman. Minnesota Spokesman, put it in your browser, boom, pops up. Easy to find.
Okay. All right, and so I can get to the comments. So referring to the medical examiner, David Fowler is a hack. The police provide the narrative that they want the medical examiner to put their findings. Fowler is a hack, especially since his back was turned to them, referring to his name was Antoine.
Dante Wright.
Dante Wright. Sorry about that. And Charlene says that carbon monoxide statement Fowler made is just trash. It's a worse form of gaslighting. So the medical examiners always like to gaslight, and try and deny us the reality that these officers kill us.
Right.
Anything else is just gaslighting. And that's all for the comments that I see currently.
So what he said, y'all, was that George Floyd was just gonna die. He said that was the time. He just had a heart attack. He left off in his testimony the fact that there were other people involved. And it's really crazy. It's kind of comical. It's like he talked about everything. He might as well said, if he was in South Africa, if he was in South Africa, he just said he died because he's a Kaffir. And Kafirs die. That's what he was saying, y'all. And that's what they're saying. They're saying, I ain't gonna say the N-word. They said N-words died. And this Negro just died. That's what they're saying to us. He just died. What's all this excitement about? That Negro just died. Negroes got bad hearts, enlarged hearts. They got hypertension, high blood pressure, sickle cell, AIDS, COVID. They're Negroes. They die. What's the big deal? We figure out another one. That's what they're saying. That I know I'm being hyperbolic, but that's what the defense is saying. Dudes thrown everything. We have excited delirium. That's a black thing. That's for black people. So that's an excuse to kill black people. What was wrong with him? The Negro had excited delirium. Let's look that up in the medical journal. Can't find it. You know who made it up? The same people you're suing, Latoya. They have a clique. It's a white hooded clique of folks that work with the police to make sure that black people, brown people, and people who ain't got no money and other folks are oppressed. It's a clique that supports the oppression of human beings. And they should take medical off their names, right? Because they don't know nothing about Hippocratic Oath. Their job is to help these people hold us down. That's their job. And they justify all the horrible stuff. That's why we can't hardly get no justice. You go to look at what the autopsy say. well, here comes the lies. You got to go and get your own medical person, right? Think about it. Y'all know you got to go get your own independent thing just to get to the truth. And we keep talking, oh, we live in America. What a wonderful place. We have all these rights. We got all this crap. That's crap, y'all. I mean, if we're going to have rights, we have to make this thing real. I'm gonna go because now I got excited.
Well, I love you, Mel. And real quick before you go, because I know you're right waiting, and I just want to say, and I'll probably take a lot of criticism for this, but it is what it is. It's like when, the officer murdered Dante, murdered my brother, all this. She murdered Antoine Black, all this. They were let off with a smack on the wrist. But then when it's the flip side and something happened, and I think about teenagers that was here and they was robbing a house or whatever, and they had a young teenager that was sitting in the car to look out, drive, or whatever.
Yeah.
However, and it was a white female cop, and my heart goes out to her family or whatever. My heart goes out to everybody. But the fact that they said she jumped in front of the car with her weapon drawn, the young guy got scared, like dipped down, and the car like went and rolled her over. This boy got damn near triple life. You will never see him again. You're talking about a teenager, gone. It was the end. There was no question, there was no second. It wasn't no manslaughter. It wasn't none of that. The keys thrown away. And that's all I want to add to that. And I don't care who don't like it. It is what it is. I say.
I just wanted to add two things.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I did hear Fowler say that the police don't have to fight fair. He said that today. He said one upper, they don't have to fight fair. But they get to hide behind qualified immunity. They get to hide behind Leobor. There's nothing in our Constitution that gives them the protections that they have. And so it's allowing them to make split-second decisions without the fear of consequence. And that has to change. I apologize for interrupting you.
I just wanted to add to Mel's remarks that the cop he was speaking about who shot and killed Dante Wright, that she also used to be the president of the police union in that area. And last year, I believe it was, there was a police killing there. And she was the one that kind of like walked those cops through all the steps in order to avoid being found guilty and prosecuted for that. So she has that history.
Wow. So did Mel go yet?
Yes, he's gone.
Oh, okay, because I know his ride was waiting, but yeah, I'm gonna definitely call and thank him for shedding light. Do we have any questions or comments, Marcus?
The last ones I read were the last ones so far. Just the ones asking about the websites, which I posted a link, and Hillary also posted the search query keyword for Minnesota Spokesman Recorder.
Oh, thank you guys. And Latoya, before we start reading these horrible because we have a long list tonight, but before we read these horrible lists, would you like to add anything else to the conversation?
I just want to thank you for having me. We don't get a platform, so to speak, and I think the last time you and I were on a platform with Miss Darlene, we trying to explain to the gentleman, like, we don't really get this opportunity too often, so you got to forgive us if we just start running off at the mouth and try to squeeze as much information in as possible in the time that's allotted. It's a lot, like the cover up is just ridiculous. They get time to spin their stories, to get their stories straight, but us as civilians, they want to keep us separated because we can't keep us, we can't put together a story to impede their investigation. But when they are potentially going to be investigated, no, they get the time to put their story together, make sure it sounds right. I heard Fowler say something about superhuman strength on drugs. When I heard that, I said, well, that's what they tried to say about Anton, that he had superhuman strength, so he must be on drugs. Toxicology report that they did, and they did it twice, right after he was murdered, and then they did it right before they gave us the report. Nothing. They found nothing. And then the fact that they did it twice, I told my mother, I said, Mom, I said they were trying to find something. They were trying to find a reason to say that Anton deserved what they did to him. And I said, so yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, Tawanda. I know it was last moment, but I really do appreciate the time, and thank you for the dialogue with everyone else here. We appreciate it.
No, thank you. And it definitely was last minute, but you came through. Definitely thank you so much. And I'm sorry you're going through it. But again, it was very important for us to pull out what we're pulling out tonight. And that's about David Fowler, who did the same exact thing nearly 8 years ago on July the 18th. And they did the autopsy on my brother on July the 19th. They knew what they were going to already say. And everything that they came in, walking in my family's house saying, we want to make sure Mr. West didn't have a bad heart. We want to make sure Mr. West wasn't dehydrated. We want to make sure all these things. They came back. It took them 154 days later to come back with this exuberant strength. And like Mel said, this super Negro stuff, the same thing they said about your brother. Unfortunately, the same thing. And then they even went so far to lie and say that my brother he didn't have drugs in his bloodstream, but however, they tested his urine and they found some cocaine. The devil was a true, complete liar. Because my brother, I could put it on my life. My brother, in his whole life, never ever, only thing my brother ever did was drink a beer and smoke the J. And the J is marijuana. Never ever in his life indulged in no cocaine. So it was a bunch of foolishness. And how was it not going to be in his bloodstream, but yet in his joint? Get the hell, they think we stupid. In the same way, my brother died from a bad heart and a super nigga on drugs in his system, the same way he was just straight out died that day. And we know that he was in good health. My brother just had a healthy physical, and all that. But the same way Eric Gardner, he didn't die because he was choked out, right, on video. No, he died because he was so obese and he was just a ticking time bomb waiting to fall out and die in a second. The foolishness, the shame on these devils. But I hope they all burn in hell. Start with David Fowler working their way down.
That's right.
Yeah, so again, my sister, thank you. And I know that we always only read the homicide list first, and but tonight, only because the list of the police brutality is horrible, I just want to make sure we get all those names right off. So, Uncle Bill, do you have those names?
Yes, I do. So this covers the time period.
It's 8 o'clock.
Covers the time period from March the 28th to the 11th of this month. It's about a 2-week period. And that time period, there may have been more, but we know of 43 people that were killed by the police around the United States. So this is going to take a moment, but it's our responsibility to uphold their names. And I'm going to go through the list. Tawanda, would you like people to say the name, or should I just?
We on our own time. We can say their name just out of respect. I mean,
Okay.
it's not the family of the loved one's fault that we had so many murders. So yes, we're gonna say their names.
All right. So first is 26 years old from Lampak, California, killed by the police on March the 28th. Chris Ruiz.
Chris
Ruiz.
On the following day, March the 29th, in Los Angeles, 38 years old, Matthew Blaylock.
Matthew
Blaylock.
If anyone came in just recently on the program on West Wednesday, I'm reading the names of people recently killed by the police in the most recent 2-week period. On March the 29th, again, in Chicago, 13 years old, Adam Toledo.
Adam
Toledo.
Again, March 29th, in Corpus Christi, Texas, 33 years old, Robert Controlla.
Robert Controlla.
On March 30th, 41 years old, this is a woman, Shelby Berkheimer.
shall be perfect.
And I think I neglected to say it was in a town called Lithia Springs in Georgia. Killed also on March 30th in Jacksonville, Florida, 32 years old, Michael Hughes.
Michael
Hughes.
Also on March 30th in Bristol, Virginia, 31 years old, Jonathan Kohler.
Jonathan Cole.
Jonathan Cole.
In Claremont, New Hampshire, 40 years old, Jeffrey Eli.
Jeffrey Eli.
On the next day, March 31st, in Independence, Missouri, 35 years old, Aaron Push.
Aaron
Push.
And I apologize to the family if I'm not pronouncing the name quite right. Again on March 31st in Visalia, California, 27 years old, Ivan Cuevas.
Ivan Cuevas.
Again, March 31st in Chicago, Illinois, 22 years old, Anthony Alvarez.
Anthony Alvarez.
On March 31st, once again, DeKalb County, Georgia, 57 years old, Willie Allen.
Willie Allen.
April the 1st, Lakewood, Colorado, 35 years old, Stephen Glass.
Stephen Glass.
Stephen Glass.
And they mentioned here that he had a toy weapon. In Brighton, Illinois, again on April the 1st, 47 years old, James Iller.
James Iller.
In Rock Island, Illinois, again on April 1st, 25 years old, Deshaun Tatum.
Tatum.
In Fremont, California, this person, the age is not given and he has not yet been identified. Also, on the next April 2nd, in Corona, California, another gentleman, not yet identified. Once more on the 2nd, in Hurdy Mills, North Carolina, this man also not yet identified. We're now in Salem, Oregon, April the 2nd again, 22 years old, Nazaril Vertel.
Vertel.
Long Beach, California, also on April 2nd. This is a woman, but she has not yet been identified. April the 2nd once more, Washington, D.C., 25 years old, Noah Green.
Noah Green.
In Douglas County, Colorado, 23 years old, Samuel Yeager.
Samuel Yeager.
In Moreno Valley, California, on April the 3rd, 40 years old, Juan Estrada.
Juan
Estrada.
Again, April the 3rd, Phoenix, Arizona, 26 years old, Jose Arenas.
Jose
Arenas.
On the same day, in Corvallis, Oregon, 32 years old, Jeffrey Appelt.
Jeffrey Appelt.
April the 3rd in New York, 21 years old, Gabriel Caso.
Gabriel Caso.
April the 5th, Anadarko, Oklahoma, 25 years old, Silas Lambert. April the 5th, Honolulu, Hawaii, 16 years old. Give me a moment with the name. Ira Mamber Sycap. In Buena Vista, New Jersey, also on April the 5th, 41 years old, Roy Jackal.
Roy Jackal.
April the 6th, Oneonta, New York, 23 years old, Tyler Green. April the 6th, Miami, Florida, 40 years old, a woman, not yet identified. Also April the 6th, Redding, California, 26 years old, Devin Kuykendall. April the 7th, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 24 years old, James Alexander.
James Alexander.
On the 8th in Tallahassee, Florida, a man not yet identified. Sorry that we can't uplift your name. April the 9th in Whitewater, California. Again, another man not yet identified. I'm sorry that we can't uphold your name. April the 9th in Bethel Township, Ohio, 50 years old, Douglas Barton.
Douglas Barton.
Georgetown, Kentucky, 31 years old, Deshund Tanner. April the 10th, San Fernando, California, 48 years old, not yet identified. I apologize that we can't uphold your name. April the 10th in Metairie, Louisiana, again, not yet identified, and I apologize that we can't uphold your name. April the 10th in Rockford, Illinois, once again, unidentified. Sorry that we can't uphold your name as well. April the 10th in San Marcos, Texas, again, not yet identified. Once more, I apologize, we can't uphold your name. And we now come on April the 11th in Brooklyn, Minnesota, to Daunte Wright.
Daunte
Wright.
And if you don't mind, Tawanda, I wanted to mention a few things about Daunte to humanize him somewhat. Do we have a moment for that?
Yes.
So his son was 2 years old. George Floyd's girlfriend, Courtney Ross, was one of his teachers. His aunt Naisha Wright said he was loved, he was ours, a dedicated father with a bright smile and an outgoing demeanor. His son's mother, China Whitaker, said in a Facebook post that the two had been amicably sharing custody of their son. A friend, Amaji Driver, said, quote, he loved to make people laugh. He was just great to be around. Mario Greer, a cousin, said Daunte was also a sensitive soul and said, I didn't get a chance to tell my cousin I love him. He said, holding back tears. And as we all know in this case, the police claim that the cop thought she had a taser in her hand and actually had a gun. And one of the famous cases that was similar to that was Oscar Grant III in California, who was killed in 2009. I'm sorry, I get very upset with this. He was killed in 2009 in Oakland at the Fruitfield station of the rapid transit system. And he was face down when he was shot. That cop only spent 11 months in jail. And the uncle of Oscar Grant, a man named Cephas Johnson, tweeted 2 days ago, Daunte Wright is another Oscar Grant. We've seen this before and know exactly how it will play out. So I just wanted to add those to humanize Daunte.
Thank you so much, Uncle Bill. And Cephas, we call him Uncle Bobby. That's my warrior brother.
Yeah.
I hold you down, and it's really sad, and my heart goes out. And again, if you heard that long list, and I apologize, we went like we're going over the time that we normally, because normally around 8 o'clock, sometimes we wrap up West Wednesday, but again, these are loved ones. Nobody asked to be in this club, and my heart goes out. So as you heard a name, just imagine if it was your loved one name. But thanks again, Uncle Bill, for diligently and respectfully reading those names, and for me to hear the women names on there. I always say our name, because every time I think about the women that we don't hear about that are murdered, it's sad. It's a travesty. It really is. So, moving right on, Brian, do you have the sad list of the homicides in our city?
Yeah, I do. And I want to. It's another long list, and before I get into that, I want to say a couple things about these. The kind of stuff that we've been talking about with Daunte and George Floyd and the medical examiner. And the first thing that I thought when I heard the thing from the medical examiner about George Floyd died because of inhaling carbon monoxide because there was a car running near him. And it occurred to me that, so why was George Floyd on the ground near a car exhaust pipe? He was there because someone was leaning on his neck. So it doesn't even matter
this is like so many of these things, both of these for me are, it doesn't even matter. It's like they don't even make sense in their own justification. In their own world, it doesn't make any sense that it would be all right to hold someone down near a running car and then claim that it wasn't your fault because they got carbon monoxide poisoning. And the same way, we've heard a little bit about I thought it was a taser argument. And, the fellow from the spokesman said, these two things, they're both sort of gun-shaped, but one is bright yellow and one is black, and one weighs like 2 pounds more than the other. And the third thing is that the Glock, which is the pistol that's being used here, has a trigger safety. The taser has a safety that is actually up behind the trigger. The triggers are totally different in the first place because the taser trigger is up inside the gun almost. And there's a safety behind that has to be tripped up. The Glock has a trigger below the barrel of the gun, and it doesn't have a safety. If you thought you were going to fire a taser, you would have to do a whole totally different set of operations with your hand than if you were just going to fire a pistol at someone. These people don't even make sense in their own world, and it just shows how much it's just the system trying to perpetuate itself, trying to make this excuse like, oh, this is just a one-off thing. I just made this one crazy mistake. That's not one mistake. That's 8 mistakes. And you don't make 8 mistakes in a row when someone's life is on the line. So with that, I'm going to just give me a second because so here in Baltimore this week, we lost to violence 12 people. 3 of them have not yet been identified. And usually I read off their names and their ages. And this week, I'm going to add one other thing, which I imagine you'll figure out pretty quickly. Walter Anderson, 28, shot.
Walter Anderson,
28.
James Fuller, 38, shot.
James Fuller.
Giorgio Johnson, 33, shot.
Giorgio Johnson.
Burnell Moten, 39, shot.
Burnell Moten.
Robert Uzel, 35, shot.
Robert Uzel.
Daquar Harrison, 25, shot.
Daquar Harrison.
Dondre Gilliam, 27, shot.
Dondre
Gilliam.
Tony McLean, 49, shot.
Tony McLean.
Shamar Austin, 22, shot.
Shamar
Austin.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that is, it's horrible. Again, you read 12 names of family members, family members that are gone. And in the total today with Uncle Bill, we read a list of 55 names just gone. 55 family members that will never be the same again. It is horrible. And at the end of the day, you can make a mistake and mess up on paperwork. You can make a mistake and burn somebody's cheeseburger. You can make a mistake and even just like drop somebody's food while you're carrying it out to them. But you cannot say that you made a mistake when you took someone's life. That's something that you didn't give, and that's something you cannot get back. So these are real times, and I just want to thank each and every last one of our guests that attended West Wednesday. I want to give a big shout out and warm hug, virtual hugs to everybody. I want to give a warm virtual big hug out to my sister Latoya, Antoine's black sister, let her know we are not alone in this, and we're gonna fight this thing together. And I want to give a big hug, virtual hug, and love out to Carlos, the brother of Kari. It's just sad, like something has to give. I want to give Big Mel, a shout out for doing all the work he had to do. He actually took time on this platform to now go run and stay in solidarity with brother and freedom fighters and Dante Wright's case. And we never know, like, it's real. Like, Mel, maybe not, Mel, it's unfortunately that things can happen to where, so God forbid, Mel could actually lose his life tonight, just putting his life on the line, standing out there for Dante Wright family, standing out there saying, we're not going to take this. Standing out there saying that he can act, get shot and can't nobody say, well, I made a mistake and killed him. We're in these times that enough is enough. And it seems to me that it's not going to stop until we make it stop, unfortunately. Until we make it stop. How many more Antoine Blacks? How many more Tyrone West? How many more Dante Wright? How many more George Floyds? How many more India Cakers? How many more Corinne Gaines? How many more? How many more? Do I have to be one of your loved ones before we actually take actions now and do something now? And to me, the biggest thing right now to me is transform. I'm with the reform, but I'm totally with the transform. Let's transform the system by knocking it down, building it back up. We need killer cops and cell blocks ASAP. Them getting fired is not enough because they can go and flip a burger at Burger King. They can go work somewhere else. But meanwhile, we cannot get our loved ones back. We will never see our loved ones at the end or the head of our table ever again. We can never have that last stroke, that last hug. And meanwhile, my family is still searching and fighting for our beloved Tavon Anderson. Every time I hear a list on any of these lists, I don't know which list the category. I don't know if my cousin was on a police brutality side list. Was he murdered by a police officer in disguise? Did some police send somebody to kill him because the West family is fighting? Was Tavon murdered by law enforcement? Was Tavon murdered? But I know one thing by regular street persons, but I really don't believe, and I'll always say that, I really don't believe that was the case. My cousin was not involved in the street. He was a good father, but my family is not going to rest until we get accountability for Tyrone West and now Tavon Anderson. We're never going to stop. We're never going to stop. So I'm giving a big, warm, virtual hug to my cousin Jamie, a big virtual hug to his other sister Samaya, and a big, big virtual hug to my aunt Dolores, who had to bury her damn son. Enough is enough. I'm giving every last family, and I'm giving virtual hugs to everybody right now. I love you guys. Do we have any questions or comments before we close out? Because we have another meeting that we have to attend, and I respect everybody's time. Mic check.
Mic check.
I'd just like to announce that we're coming up for May Day on May the 1st. It's the International Workers' Day and represents the struggle of working class people in the fight against racism and every other injustice worldwide. We're going to have a virtual May Day starting at 7 on May the 1st. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. I was just wondering if Sharon Black had anything she wanted to say.
Is that okay, Sister Tawanda?
Absolutely, Queen.
I just wanted to make an announcement before we talk about the other issues, but I wanted to make sure that people are aware that on April 24th, there is like a regional, it's actually a national protest for Mumia Abu-Jamal, who's facing cardiac surgery right now and possible death. And so the urgency to get him out of jail is even more profound. And so there's going to be a car caravan and people going to Philadelphia on Saturday, April 24th. But I'll get the information out to folks on this call and make sure that you know about it. And I guess that's about it. I guess later we're going to talk about how we can have a joint emergency response to the to the Chauvin trial when the verdict comes out. And I've been feeling so emotional about the Daunte Wright murder, because I want to call it a murder. I hope it's okay to make this comment. I don't see it as an accident. I see it as a murder, frankly. I mean, first of all, the cop who killed him, she was head of the police union. I don't think it should be called a union. I'm a union activist. It's a charade. The FOP is what you should call it, which is a racist hate group. And she was head of that. The atmosphere in Minnesota rather, it was such that, these killer cops were out for revenge. And I can't for the life of me, in my heart, in my soul, believe that that was an accident. And I know this may sound far-fetched, but the police are so corrupt. If you don't think that maybe she said taser, taser, because she wanted to prove to the other cops, this is how you get away with something. You just yell taser, taser, and then shoot with your gun. And there's no way a 26-year-old veteran, the police force, couldn't tell the difference between a taser and a handgun. No way. And so I think it's premeditated murder based on white supremacy and racism. So, I've just been so, pained by all of it and how, his family must feel. And and how fearful he must have felt when the cops had his car surrounded. So that's my 2 cents. I apologize if I sounded a little emotional, but it's my honest opinion that it was not an accident. And the charges are a travesty. And, she resigned so she can still collect her pension. So, anyhow, justice for all victims of police terror. But anyhow, I know we want to talk about at a little later time today about what we can do in terms of the verdict when it comes out. Thank you.
Thank you, sis. And you don't have to apologize for anything. You don't have to apologize for anything. And while you on here and hindsight where everybody can see you, I want to give you a big shout out and a big praise for always. This queen is always out there. Like, so you hear about activists, but this is not. She's compassionate. The People Powers Assembly, I'm giving you guys a big shout out because even the People Powers Assembly have been out there for my brother Tyrone West. We was out there, and every time something goes on, me and her always stay connected. Sometimes we miss because we both got busy schedules and whatnot, but this queen is always out there, always, and I believe what you said. I believe this was a racist act of terrorists. To me, and this is my opinion, my views, whatever, but I feel like they are a big gang. It's like it's like gang retaliation. Okay, George Floyd is on trial. Now we're gonna start. We're feeling some type of way. So let's go and kill somebody. That's like I started off with saying before you got on here. I started off saying about the picnic, and that's when they used to do with slave time. But they would pick you know what, I don't want to say that word, but they would pick a Negro to kill and torture. And that was what she went on she went on a picnic. She had a little trainee right there, and it's my opinion. Nobody, none of the West Coalition, People Powers, nobody went. This is my views. My views are this was a hit. It was designed to distract. This was 10 miles from where George Floyd was actually murdered. 10 miles. And for me to literally, and my brother Mel, I met him and I went down there and I seen, and we had a list, and I'm looking at the names. We had a list when we went down there in 2020 to protest about George Floyd when he first had got murdered and whatnot. We went down there and stand in solidarity in a pandemic. We out there, but they had a list on the back of George Floyd picture that had over 450 names. They got killed right there, and I'm thinking like, oh my God, did this happen again? And they said they had just all them names they got killed within right like in that whole from 2019 to 2020. All those people, and we never heard about it. All we heard was what the media wanted to tell us, and that was George Floyd. We know it's bigger, but I'm gonna end right there by just saying I believe it was an execution hit. They felt some type of way, and the thing is, like you said, and like I believe, first of all, she's screaming taser, taser. Let's be clear. When Ruiz tased my brother Tyrone West 4 times in his neck. None of the witnesses recalled him saying taser, taser. Okay?
Right.
When, let's be clear, I believe when I'm sorry, when Mr. Gray was being tased, and I'm talking about, and I can't, Gerald Gray. Gerald Gray was being tased. He got tased to death. They didn't scream taser, taser when they was tasing him. They didn't scream taser, taser when they was tasing George King. The list goes on. I can go on and on, but I won't because of time's sake. So I'll leave it right there. To me, it's legalized genocide. And like my sister each time says, every case matters. So what we need to do is reopen every last case, and we need to charge them all with genocide. Free. Everybody needs to be charged. This whole damn system is guilty as hell. And the way we brought you guys in with the video of Killer Ruiz, that's still working, that's sergeant. They get promotions when they count. They get raises, promotions. It's like a game. When a gang member, I got more respect for actual gang members than I do police officers. I'm gonna be clear because they get away with their stuff. If a gang member get caught doing their crime, they going down and they'll never see the streets again. They get away with it. I'm sorry, it is what it is. Enough is enough. But until we win, like Mass Action says, until killer cops are in cell blocks, we're never going to stop. And I'm here to hold up Anthony Anderson's name, all the victims' names. So thank you guys for tuning in. And the same way we brought you in with the video of Louise, please watch this video. But more importantly, please get in contact with anybody. Get in contact with Marilyn Mosley office. Get in contact with somebody that you know that might know her. We need my brother's case reopened right now. Because guess what? If you get a win in one case, for one family, that's a win for all the families. Because guess what? That opens up this Pandora box they want closed. That gives everybody the right to go in there and say, you know what? The same way they did it for Mr. West family, let's get some accountability for Anthony Anderson family. Let's get family for all the families.
Right.
For Jamal Taylor people. For all the Jamal Taylors of the world. So until we win, we're not going to stop until killer cops are in cell blocks. Thank you. Live to love, love to live. I love you all. We'll see you guys next week. And hopefully we'll be coming to you soon. And thank you, Sharon, for your time. We can plan some type of action because we definitely, truly need it. Thank you guys again. Live to love, love to live. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
And Mr. West begging for his life, and Mr. Salam begging for his child to be excluded and comforted from what was taking place. Not for himself, but for his 3-year-old child.
Case number 4, Adina Britt and family, September 10th, 2015.
My name is Adina Britt, and I wanted to submit a 30-second testimonial that Jorge Omar Bernardes Ruiz is one of the 11 terrorists that came into my house performing a home invasion in September 2015, terrorizing my entire family and even holding my 12-year-old son at gunpoint. He needs to be stopped.
Case number 5, unidentified arrestee, assaulted in 2016.
I suggest you back the fuck up.
Again, this video did not surface until the summer of 2020. Case 6, Thomas McCullough, May 2016 and February 2017.
I heard my front door coming off the hinges like it exploded.
Thomas McCullough says it happened twice. In May 2016 and February 2017, Baltimore City Police burst through his green front door and raided his Pimlico home.
They said police. They come up, shotguns, guns.
He says officers ransacked the place, looking for drugs, money, and weapons. He took pictures of the damage he says they left behind.
Tell us where the drugs are, the scales, the guns, and them large amounts of money.
Nothing was found. Now he's suing police, claiming officers, including a former member of the Gun Trace Task Force, frightened him, his wife, and father-in-law when the officers conducted what his suit calls an illegal search of his home. The owner of the house tells 11 News after the second raid, he had to replace the front door. McCullough and his attorney say they want Baltimore police held accountable.
There is a colossal breach of trust.
And McCullough tells us following both raids, no one was arrested or charged.
This all begs the question, when will Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby see the prosecution of Bernardez Ruiz as warranted?
They were the stopping officers in these so-called jump-out cars, unmarked and so forth, that stopped both the West vehicle and the Salam vehicle without probable cause. And these officers are the ones that also were joined by others, but they are the ones who initiated the stops, pulled both men out of the vehicles, and commenced the vicious activity that was thrust upon them.
And the office of Ruiz that started this attack is still working and working with promotions. He is now sergeant, but the fact that this repeat of violent offender had a history leading up to my brother. There was Darrell Harris, there was James Green, Joseph Green, Abdul Salam, and my sister Dina and her family. No one family deserves to be brutally murdered or brutalized by this repeat violent offender Ruiz. It is time we take action. The time is now.
Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz is a repeat violent offender. Based on these accounts, in accordance with the law, we, the West Coalition, call for him to be fired, prosecuted, and incarcerated.
We're more than hashtags and body bags. We're more than being 6 feet in the dirt and pictures and buttons on t-shirts. Our lives matter.
For the safety of our city, the prevention of further harm, and the justice for these families, we see no other option.
And again, I'll say, the time is now.